Okay, I'm going to explain all this complex piping here to our geothermal systems. This is for the water. We're doing geothermal exchanges typically with water, exchanges the heat with the water, and of course that's what ours does. And we've got two geothermal systems piped here into this water loop, which is an open loop with our well. One of them goes to our main compressor down here. The other one goes out to the pool room. The one that goes to our main compressor is these two lines here. Oh, I'm sorry, start at the top. These two lines here come straight down and then go into and out of the main compressor. We tap off of these two lines here and here and send these two lines out to our out to the pool room, the natatorium. Normally what happens with a geothermal system is they're typically a two-stage system, the better ones. Both of ours are. They typically require only about half the water flow for the first stage and then twice as much for the second stage, but you always just give them the max flow rate, which means if you're running in first stage most of the time, as it should be, you're really pumping a whole lot of extra water and wearing out your pump and reducing your water flow capacity for the rest of the house, but unnecessarily by pumping more water than you need. So what we've done here is we've staged the flow to this main compressor. Only the main compressor has staged flow. So the maximum flow rate for that is 15 gallons a minute. We're actually achieving 13. We're close to that. And the way that's done is with this piping here. So what happens is we've got two zone control valves down here. Both are in the camera now. And they're both off, as you can see, and they're normally off. So that line crosses the flow direction. So they're both normally closed. We tap into this guy here. This is our compressor. And by the way, here is our Bosch customer number with Bosch if we ever need that to talk to Bosch. And reminder from another video, this is our manuals. HVAC is all of our manuals for this room here. And so we tap into the incoming wire. That's the high voltage in there, so you want to be careful. But the incoming wire here off of the zone controller right here, our April Air zone controller. We tap into that. When we get the call, we open up this valve here. We also, when we do that, you see this has quite a few wires connected to it. We also send that signal out to, and I've explained this in a different video, to the other geothermal system so that it will not come on while this valve is open. In other words, while this is running. So when that valve opens up, we are sending water through just this straight section here. And we send, when we do that, you can see I've got a flow restricting valve right here that says do not touch, because that has been carefully tuned to give it 7 gallons a minute. So I recently, the way you do that is you can measure it with this valve here, which is also a flow restrictor, but right now it's both of these are really just, they're fully opened in the fully open position, and we're just using them for measuring. We don't need to restrict flow. And when I pull it open, which I've done recently, and so it's still showing at the 7 gallons a minute line there, we get 7 gallons a minute through this when just this one valve here is open. When we get a second stage call, so we need to put it into second gear, then what happens is we interrupt that line through here. It goes through this wire here and comes out to this zone control valve, which then opens that valve. Once that valve is completely open, it sends the signal back and completes the call to the compressor and turns on stage 2. Already this valve will have been opened because by default that opens. You always have a stage 1 call when you have a stage 2. So that both valves will now be open, and we'll be getting water through both of these legs here at the same time. And you can then pull this valve, pull this ring out during the second stage call, and you'll see that we're getting about 13 gallons per minute. We could go as high as 15, but 13 is what we're able to get, and that works. And that only is going to happen during a second stage call because the water flow is staged, and that's how that works. The water flow in these smaller pipes is just a single stage. There's nothing complex. So whenever we get a call out there for flow, it just flows as long as this valve here is closed. It will just start flowing and going out through there. You can then do the same thing. You pull on this ring, pull it out when water's flowing through it, and you'll be able to see this little ball bearing there will drop down, and it'll drop down to about 6 is what we get, something like 6 gallons a minute, which is plenty. And we just give it 6 gallons per minute all the time. That one often goes into second stage call because we're allowing the temperatures to drop more there. So it's very common that when we're running it, we actually need, probably most of the time we're running it the way we're doing it right now, we probably need second stage. And we're just about getting a call. So I'll actually show you a valve opening since it's going to happen. So if we look at this stage, and it certainly is a stage 1 call. So if I watch this, you'll see the green light is going to come on. It's flashing now, and now it's opening up. And now once it hit fully open, the compressor was able to kick on, and so we heard that happening, especially since the door is off. And now we have water flowing, and I'm going to go ahead and measure that flow here by pulling this out. So I'm pulling that pin out, and we're at just about 7 gallons a minute, which is what I got that tuned to, which is exactly what we want. And we're able to cool the house with that. So there you have it. That's our staged water flow for our geothermal system.